everyone, in this video I'm going to be going over a Strongarm build that I recently completed. I'm going to go over all the features of it and then I'm going to show it firing. So let's start off with the biggest feature change on this entire thing, the most obvious, and that is the paint job. I like the white and blue paint job that Nerf has been doing to its Strongarms, but I kind of had to change it because if I didn't, then it'd just be a stock paint job, and new paint jobs are fun. So I went with a white background with blue splatter paint because I really like splatter painting. It's fun, it's simple, and you have a huge color palette to choose from. So I did it with 3 different blues on here. You kind of have to look to find them all. There's a light blue that's kind of misted over it. There's a medium blue that makes up most of the splatter, and then there's a dark blue that makes up these larger splatter paint marks. And I think I did a pretty good job with it. I like the look of it, and one thing I really like is that I assembled the entire blaster before I splatter painted it, so it's consistently splattered. Things that are covered, like on the cylinder, on the top and bottom, have a open white to them. The slide has white underneath of it, so it just looks really consistent and not like randomly splattered then all the parts were put together. So I really like that. I like how it turned out. And the only parts that I kept orange are the cylinder release piece right here, the internals for fluid movement. There's no gunking up or anything like that from if I got paint on them, and the little tack rail piece right there. So those are the only orange parts, and you really don't notice them except for these two. If you're just looking at it, you kind of have to open it up to even notice the orange internals right there. But yeah, so that's the biggest change I did to it. The second thing I did to the Strongarm was I gave it rear loading capabilities. I even expanded the rear loading to have a 3rd slot. You just cut into that gray piece and you have 3 slots open instead of the usual 2. So you can put in half of your cylinder, rotate it halfway around, and then do the other half instead of doing 2. Rotate it to rotate it. Makes things more efficient, and I don't know why you wouldn't do that. It's really simple, but it makes a huge difference. So what I did was I came in and took out the dart pegs, and then I took a 17/32 drill bit and just went in a little bit to make the openings more circular, but it takes elite darts very nicely. However, this is more of a Stefan mod. It's a lot of people who do this do it for Stefans because you can just rear load them through the back instead of loading them through the top and then ramrodding them down. You can still load it through the front, but there's makes you feel like kind of a badass when you're loading it from the back. It's more efficient if you use Stefans, but it just kind of has this charm to it that I really like, so that's why I did it. The last thing I did to the Strongarm was I added an orange ModWorks kit to it. The orange, I think it's called the Unleash kit, is super good. I love it, and it really just takes your Strongarms to a next level if you're thinking about modding them. Super easy, you just drop it in, you're ready to go, and it makes things awesome. You can kind of tell by the metal trigger there, but that's really the only thing giving away that you have the kit inside, but really is a great kit, so that's why I added it, because I just wouldn't feel right if I didn't, if I was gonna modify the outside of a Strongarm but not really do anything to the internals. So that's really all I did with the Strongarm, so let's put it through the chronograph and take it outside. Alright, before I shoot this thing off, let me show you the rear loading on it. So you just take your darts and you just push them in. Try and make sure that they're nice and flush with the cylinder for best performance, and you just push them in like that and you're good to go. So let me fill up the rest of these and we'll shoot them off. Alright, so I've measured that to the rock line right there is about 50 feet. So I'm going to be shooting this as flat as possible. So here we go. Ooh, that one curved over. So this is where the rock line is, and a lot of the darts have landed up on this hill. There's some right over here, and there's one right up there. So easily shoots over 50 feet flat. As you can see, the Strongarm is performing very nicely. Like I said, the kit inside of it is one of my favorites that Orange ModWorks has ever put out. But there is one downside to this blaster. It's not really big, but it's worth mentioning. Your darts conditions will determine how well it performs. Now, with newer darts, you're going to have a harder time rear loading the darts, but you're going to get better ranges. More used darts, the squishier they are, the easier it is to load, but you're not going to do as well. However, with that said, you can just top load them. There's nothing wrong with that, but it does make it a little easier to line up the backs with rear loading. So if that's what you want to do, newer darts are going to be harder to put in, but you're going to get the best ranges out of it. So that's not really a big deal, but it's worth mentioning. With that said, I think I've covered everything about the Strongarm. If you like this Strongarm as much as I do, because I really do like it, I think it turned out very nicely. It is for sale in my web store, link in the description. But for now, that is it. I hope you enjoyed the Strongarm as much as I enjoyed making, and as always, have a great day wherever you are.